call the meeting to order. Any items from the public? Let me just do one other thing real quick. Anthony, you want to go ahead and call the prosecutor's office and have somebody over here? Because that hearing is not scheduled until 11:15.
Okay.
Just because we have the fiduciary supervisor out today too. So, okay. Thank you. No one from the public. Need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the agenda for Thursday, June 19th, if there's no modifications or changes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, June the 9th.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Any questions on the purchase order? Internal budget revision, Mr. Davis? None on that. We have a state budget revision at the end, I think, right?
Yes, sir.
We have a change in status. We have new hire recommendation received from Tim Zaya, Director of Community Corrections, for Jody Hernandez as an administrative assistant billing specialist with an annual salary of $40,652 effective June 21st, 2022. Change of status received from Tim Zaya, Director of Community Corrections, for Miranda Bartley. She is going from administrative assistant to billing specialist. Her salary will go from $27,265 to $47,776 effective June 21st, 2022.
So what's the difference between Hernandez and Bartley?
Well,
One of the new hire, I guess, right?
Bartley has been on staff for a while. She's actually been trained to do the Medicaid billing, which we will be starting July 1st. So she will be assigned full-time. We're backfilling her position with a new hire who will be primarily doing the administrative assistant duties, but will be trained to be backup to Miranda Bartley, so that in the event that Miss Bartley's off on vacation or sick leave, we have someone that can continue to do the Medicaid billing for us.
And the administrative assistant, is that chief of the clerical section, or?
Well, there really is no clerical section. It provides support to Tim. Kathy Butts is kind of the office manager. She oversees, all the administrative operation. This position does all the scheduling of transportation and things like that. We have 4 vans now that we're having trouble keeping up with the demand, and as you know, the most recent grant that we put in with SAMHSA includes the purchase of an additional van. We really need a 5th van.
And they're under the our administration and vehicle.
Yes, sir. Yep, under David Ford Center.
Okay, any other questions? All right, we have approval of minutes. Everyone was present on May the 19th meeting. Of any changes or corrections on those? Okay, we are here next Thursday on the 16th, and the government will be closed down on the 20th for June 10th day. And then boards of commissions, we have.
While you're looking, Mr. President, on the 16th, I have a WE court meeting.
16th, okay.
And then the day after shows the 11th. I'm not sure if that's just the 16th to the 11th. We're going back in the month.
The what now?
16th to the 11th.
Yeah, that's a typo. It should be Friday.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
But I'll be on the road, but I'll probably be here in the morning for a little bit. Then I'll have to go.
All right, and I'll be here on the 16th, but won't be here on the 23rd. Boards and commissions, Have fire board tonight at 6:30. We have on Monday the 13th at 2:30 p.m. LEPC, 4 p.m. health board, 5 p.m. water district, 6 p.m. farmland protection. So health board still meeting on the 13th, Jim?
No, they postponed that, maybe till January,
July.
And, also have a Region 9 Planning and Development Council at 12 o'clock at the airport. Yes, ma'am.
All right, and then we have Solid Waste Authority on Wednesday the 15th at 6 p.m. Any changes or corrections to any of those? We have a canceled check request by the county clerk. Any question on those? All right, motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
So moved.
Second?
Have a motion on the floor in a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. We have nothing from Mr. Hess, our assessor this morning. Board meeting reports, Mr. Barnhart.
For the second week in a row, I didn't have any meetings, so I'm not going to report on any meetings because I didn't have any.
It's amazing, man. Mr. Galea.
I did attend the Development Authority meeting, but I'll leave all that conversation to the councilperson Gokenhour to
All right.
discuss.
Mr. Whitaker.
No meetings, but I have 2 coming up.
All right. Mr. Gokenhour.
I'll take up the rest of your all's time. On Sunday, I had an opportunity to attend the Association of Counties meet and greet, which is very nicely done. Matt Harvey is the new chairman of that group.
Right.
So,
Matt's a good guy.
yeah, I believe so. I think they're in good hands there. On Monday, along with Councilperson Galea, we attended the meeting with Senator Capito in the Water District at the Bunker Hill plant to look at the needs of upgrades there, along with Administrator Regan, and followed up with a meeting at the Development Authority. And I thought it was very well handled. He was very in tune with our needs, and I think it was a very positive meeting. That evening had a Planning Commission meeting. We had 7 public hearings, one of which involved the large warehouse on Pilgrim Street, the 1.4 million square feet project there.
That was a meeting with who? The Development Authority?
That was the Planning Commission.
Planning Commission,
Yes,
okay.
sir. Yeah, so that's been the first public hearing for that particular project, along with, the normal stuff that we've got going through there.
That reminds me, and I've been saying it, I haven't done it, we need to get a hold of that engineering company for the
Solid waste.
Solid Waste Authority on the pond size.
The independent firm that we're using.
No, it'd be the company that's designing the whole project.
Okay.
Just maybe,
Because of enlarging it to
Yeah.
cover the whole square footage.
exactly.
Remember, that was a conversation to make that pond big enough to
Yep.
handle the whole impervious if they
Well,
grow.
So you're
Just a-
talking about the engineering firm that Project Pilgrim is using?
Yeah,
Not-
Pilgrim.
Not the independent one that we.
Correct.
Before
We just have a
testing.
geotech testing company, but we want to get with their engineer.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
On Tuesday, Alan and I and Dan on the phone spoke with CEC in reference to connection of Route 9 and Frog Hollow project. They had presented us with a design. It needed a little tweaking back and forth. There's concerns crossing there at Grapevine Road and going back to, I forget the name of the subdivision back in there, but
Across from Kelly Island going the other direction.
yeah, there were just some concerns there about, they break in front of traffic, behind traffic, between cars. So they would want to work on that.
That's going to be a really enhanced that trail
Yeah.
and enhanced Martinsburg.
Yeah, it'd be pretty neat.
It will be.
I think it'd
And
be,
once we get closer to final design, the engineering firm will appear before the council so that, just like we do all the other projects, you have the opportunity to.
And they seem excited about the opportunity to connect the two together as well.
Yeah.
So
True does.
the CEC,
Okay.
the guys designing it.
Uh-huh.
yeah, they thought it was a great opportunity, you know, for the community to have that ability.
Grapevine Road's the biggest area there that you gotta worry about, right?
Yeah, Grapevine, and then, I can't remember the name of it.
The one that runs there, goes behind Sexton
Yes,
Food.
yeah.
Oak Crest.
I don't know, I want to say Pleasant Way or something, but I don't know. But
Oak Crest is a subdivision, I think.
Yeah, but it's right across from, it's Kelly Island Road, just opposite side of Kelly Island Road. But that one is a concern, but I think they can cross. But one of the concerns is if you're gonna come 2 cars back and cross 2 cars back, you're gonna have people riding bikes and walking out into traffic blindsided, you know, and the traffic coming on to the road is going to be blindsided, you know, they're not gonna see them. And so the concern was to try to get them out. Now, there was and I made a suggestion that down on Grapevine, maybe the way to solve that is put a small boulevard in Grapevine Road entrance so that when they come out, at least they've got a small boulevard to stand on or walk through, that they have a place to stop where they're not into traffic, you know what I mean, so that there's visual. And
Oh, you mean kind of between the lanes?
yeah, and I think that's probably the only way you're gonna solve that road, you know what I mean? Because they're gonna be a couple cars back, and you know, that just, to me, sounds like common sense, man. You can't have people coming out into traffic in between cars. It just sounds like it's you know, accident waiting to happen, you know? Don't
Now-
you think, Eddie?
Yeah, I agree. And Alan just showed, that's Rural Crest Drive.
Royal
Crest.
Those are the two, it seems like the two pinch points that really need to be worked.
Are they putting any type of barriers or anything, planning on any barriers between this trail and Route 9?
They're actually, well, go ahead, Eddie. They're talking about raising it up onto what's the chicken place here?
Royal Farm.
Royal Farms, yeah. Raising it up onto there. I mean, they're talking about keeping it off of the edge of Route 9, but where it comes from Royal Farms, they thought it was best to even go all the way up onto the top of it.
Up on top of the berm,
Yeah.
which would be nice, I mean, to me.
But that's what puts them back further from the entrance, you know, from the main part of that road.
I would say Rural Farm would probably be interested in putting a couple bike racks there too.
Perhaps. I mean, just, we all know about the traffic on 9, and as much as we can keep the bicycle and pedestrian traffic off of that.
Well, I was thinking kids.
Yep.
You know, kids 4, 5, 6 years old. So, all right.
You know, a couple weeks ago, I told you from our landmarks meeting with the easement now with Boydville, there's a problem with the wallpaper there. So the commission met at Boydville to take a look at what they want to be able to do. And it's a definite issue. I asked them to reach out to legal to make sure that we were legally able to allow him to protect it. He wants to cover it in order to protect it for long term, because the expense of recreating that wallpaper is extreme. Consider the other projects that need to be done there to keep the building whole and structurally.
Not probably owned now, right?
It is, but they're still covered under this easement.
Okay.
Very restrictive.
And they're actually using it as residence now, so they live
Yes.
in there.
Yeah.
Jonathan and Megan live there now.
From there, we go to stormwater. They've been addressing several complaints, you know, with mud on the highways and all that kind of stuff. They do have one new inspector coming on in July, and they will have 2 interns for the summer for about 15 or 16 weeks. The sewer district, there've been inspections and upgrades to the 225 pump stations in the county, and it's all part of their consent decree. Be able to get to get their 225 plus. There's a few more coming.
That's a lot of crap. That's a lot of crap, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of crap under pressure. That is.
Yeah. So
Sounds like this
What
board.
do we got in here?
Not much.
the force
Under pressure?
Hang on, y'all. I'm not finished. The force main from Jairstown going up to the main line, that's going very well and should be completed in July and beginning of August, somewhere through there. That's on Gold Miller Road. And Cemetery Road interceptor line should be starting the 13th of this month. Snyder will begin that job. All the pipes already been secured. Documents that are necessary for the consent decree are ready for submittal. They will be there by the 15th, which is their deadline. Yesterday was my first Development Authority meeting where Abe Ashton will be the new president and outgoing president Helen Harris. I thank her for her service. And they're still very active on different projects in the county. They've created a new video for showcasing, Berkeley County. So that's about it. But if you wouldn't mind back up, I'd like to have Margie Bartles brought in for interview, please.
Yeah, we haven't got there yet, I don't think, but yeah, we can do that. Yep. All right, I don't have anything to report on, so we have board and commission vacancies. As Mr. Gokenhour said, I'd like to have Margie Bartles brought in for the Development Authority. Any activity on any vacancies that anybody wants to make at this time?
Yes, sir. I'd like to reappoint Jim Moffett to the Ambulance Authority.
Appoint Jim Moffett to
I'm
the
sorry.
Ambulance Authority, and he'll be taking place of Bill Polk's position.
Okay.
Yeah, Jim Moffett has already been interviewed. He'll be taking place. Bill Polk, his last meeting was this past meeting. Make sure you send Bill an email saying that.
And a thank you.
Till July. All right. Well, so then I'm ahead of my game.
Wow.
But he won't be here for July's meeting. Well, just go ahead and appoint him to start when Bill's term expires. All right. So we have a motion on the floor and a second.
And also, reappointment packets have been received, and I'd like to make the appointment.
Let me make this one, then we'll go back to yours.
Okay.
Okay, so we have one. Do we have a second? Second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Okay.
I'd like to make a reappointment for Amy Orndorff and Brad Close to the Development Authority.
Okay. We have a
Second.
motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion on that motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. And any other activity? All right. Mr. Davis, do you have anything you want to do for 5 minutes?
We can update you on your bid opening.
Yeah, let's do that.
And I'll have Gary come up. Your 10 o'clock opening is for, at the council's direction, probably a year, 18 months ago, we put together a request for qualifications for the development of a fiber optics infrastructure master plan. At that time, it was felt that it would be most efficient to let the Development Authority take lead on soliciting these proposals. So we did the RFQ, we sent it to the Development Authority. They tweaked it a little bit, put it out on the street, and received a number of proposals. They interviewed they
received, I think, 2
various firms, and couldn't really come to any kind of agreement on how to move forward. So we brought it back to the council a month or so ago in May. And after further discussion by this council, you decided to kind of go off on our own and at least work with a consultant on the development of a fiber optics infrastructure master plan for the county. So at the direction of the council, we did distribute the RFQ to all of the vendors that had participated in the earlier solicitation through the Development Authority. We also placed a legal ad in the Martinsburg Journal. We do have certification publication on file in your packet indicating that the Class 1 legal ad did run on Tuesday, May 17th. We had a number of vendors that had contacted us with various questions, which Gary has responded to. The deadline for submission of proposals was yesterday at 4:00 p.m. and we did receive 2 responses to the RFQ. If you'll recall, and we just went through this and we'll discuss a little bit further later this morning, just went through the solicitation for RFQ for the development of our parks, selecting an engineering firm. Well, this is very similar. There will not be prices read into the record. There should not be prices included in this. What you'll do is open the proposal, read it into the record, and then Gary and I and whoever else you decide will interview the 2 vendors and come back to you with who we feel is the most qualified. So Gary, you want to add anything?
I think this is just another step that the council has had a broad view of infrastructure growth in Berkeley County. I think this started, I believe, with Mr. Galea 2.5 years ago, Dan? A vision, and it kind of spawned out of conversations, I believe, at the Development Authority, where you make an investment in a large piece of infrastructure from Northern Virginia and kind of stretch the travel path of the internet here, and then turn around and look at what opportunities there are for you as the owner of this, let's call it a road, if you will. And then you have, and these are the questions that the consultant will answer for us. Can we lease this stuff? You know, we own it. We don't want to be in the business of providing any kind of internet to anybody, but we own this road, if you will, and then have an opportunity for you to generate revenue, spur growth, and potentially tap some pretty big grant monies that are out there. Who knows? This is the study. This is to tap the minds of the legal minds, the technical minds, the business minds to say, yes, this vision makes sense, or no, it doesn't. So Alan is correct. You should not see numbers. This is all about what can they offer you from their skill closet to give you the answers. Does this make sense for Berkeley County or does it not?
All right, well, this has been, like you said, been going on for quite a while.
Probably a year longer than that, probably 3.5 years.
I think that's when the conversation started, and a lot of people have been involved. We've not heard in any of those conversations, be it from a business mind to a technical mind, anybody who said, wow, you're crazy. So it has enough motion behind it that I think it's a great opportunity to have it vetted by a company that knows this and see if it makes sense for us. It's been done in a couple areas in other states that really sparked change, right? So this isn't delivering anything to a house. As you well know, you were awarded a study for a grant, Eddie and myself and another person's on that committee. We were awarded that grant, and you offered up a match to up to $1 million. If that moves forward, the next step to that is actually broadband fiber delivered to western Berkeley County. So along with that, you have your wireless feasibility study. That was the bridge solution that could potentially get and underserved people access to the internet in an 18-month window. So there's a lot of that going on. We're juggling a lot of different options to help provide the 120 couple thousand people in Berkeley County good internet service.
We do see fiber being put in different places.
You do?
You know,
A lot of different places.
yeah, I mean, of the subdivision where my office is at, they're running fiber. Comcast actually running fiber to a business up there. But over, we had a conversation, I forget who we were talking to, but over in Arden, where they're throwing, there's fiber going in Arden out in the rural area, and I don't know where it's coming from or where it's going, but they're out there working on it. They're bored, wet bored, but they,
Going out Ardenallville Road as well. That's Comcast.
Cable
there, I believe.
station, Union Corner,
It's no longer a luxury, it's now demanded for new construction. I mean, no one's coming to a subdivision that can't provide that to that. So, we'll see.
All right, let's open them up.
Just like nobody's coming to the house that don't have electric.
It's almost there, Mr. Whittier.
start cutting paper here.
doesn't seem like it was that long ago when we didn't even have cell phones.
I can remember that.
Oh, I remember.
I kinda enjoyed that too.
Well, the first technical device that I had was an employee here in '07 was a BlackBerry, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I got to see
that
that.
was a big jump. My first one was a bag phone
I meant with data, I should have said.
and a beeper.
Yeah, pager.
That was your
That's what
data.
I had.
Was your pager, or was your data?
All right, this first one is Ice Miller Whiteboard, Build Advantage, and it's out of Columbus, Ohio.
That's a good place to be talking about that. That's the other line, end of the big line.
Yeah, they're here across, right in. They're doing it.
Number two is Design 9, and they are,
Blacksburg, Virginia.
what?
Blacksburg, Virginia. Okay. They did our wire people.
Yep, Blacksburg, Virginia.
Thank you.
There's your two.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes our bidding process.
Yeah, sir.
The crazy thing is, we started back at, actually, Hunter Wilson started talking about that 3.5 years ago. If we was able to do that back then, would have been way ahead of things. So, all right.
It might be operational by now.
Yeah, it would have been.
Maybe.
And now they're saying that people do directional boring, they're so busy, they don't even want no more work. Just talked to one on Sunday.
It means there's room for new business. That might
There
be your
is.
next business
It
venture.
could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you get out of this job, pick up a job doing wet boring.
Yeah. All right, next on our agenda is board and commission interview. Tracy Galea,
Yeah.
senior service board applicant.
Hello.
Good morning, Tracy. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to serve on the senior service board, and then we'll start asking you a few questions.
Well, I'm from this area. I'm an Edward Jones financial advisor. I pretty much do all the things in Martinsburg and county as far as volunteering and Rotary and involved in other nonprofits. I was asked to be on the board, so that's why. I have done things with them before. I volunteered there. I think what they do is awesome, and I'm happy to be a part of it in some way.
Okay. All right. Mr. Barnhart, you have any questions for Tracy?
I guess you've been in the senior center.
Uh-huh.
Is there anything different that
She
you
doesn't
would?
qualify to be.
Well, I noticed that, but I didn't want to, out of decorum, I didn't want to do it. But anything different that you see, or anything you want to add to the senior center that you see is missing?
Well, I don't really know. I'm guessing once I start actually attending board meetings and learning a little bit more about what they have going on, I might have some input at that point, but
You do know some people eligible for senior center.
I know a few.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually recommend it all the time. I've gone
looking
there
at each other.
and done things with some of the seniors, and I mean, I think it's a great place.
The correct answer would have been, yes, Mr. Barnhart, you appear to be qualified.
I'm overqualified.
Well,
Yeah.
those things are just internalized. I'm not going to say those things out loud.
All right, Mr.
He
Dell.
really wants this volunteer position.
Good to see you again, and glad to see you applying to sit on the Senior Services Board. I think you would be a good fit to help out. I know Amy was excited about you interviewing, so I appreciate that. Obviously, the meetings are, 3:00 on the fourth Wednesday, I think is what they generally are. Not a problem with conflict for.
No, it's not. That was one of the first things I asked was what's required and when.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
And they're coming up with some new ideas, trying to come up with some alternatives for funding. So I think it's a great time for, maybe get you on board to help with some of those ideas, because obviously I see you at all the volunteer things, helping out, that kind of stuff. So appreciate what you do and appreciate you wanting to get on board.
Mr. Whitaker.
I tell you, the only thing I can see here is one of your references, Mr. Wilson. That's
I
really
noticed
sketchy.
that.
Really sketchy.
I figured
guy
if I
right
put him, everyone would know.
Yeah.
So.
But I always like to thank anybody that's willing to give back to the community, especially on the Senior Service Board. And I can see probably just an insight that what you do for a living could probably be very helpful to some of those that are interested in their security, and helping in that way. So if you're appointed, I can only see some pretty good things coming. So thank you.
Mr. Gokenack.
Yes, ma'am. When I go down through your application, one of the things that just jumped right out to me was your employment with Edward Jones. So, I know that money's always tight with them, and I think that with a financial background, you may in fact be able to help them, financially, with your advice and your expertise and your experience. So, I think that they're always looking for that business thought process, especially when it comes to finances. So it looks to me as if you would be a very good fit for that. So thank you for applying.
Tracy, I don't know you, but I know everyone that sits up here, and it sounds like the large portion of them has worked with you at a volunteer level. I'm just like Mr. Gokenack. Finances for these boards is a big thing. I do know two of your references. I know Ed, and I know Michelle as well. So, and I think a lot of both of them. So, appreciate you applying for Senior Services. It is a very important board. We own the building. We maintain the building. We put over $1 million in that building in the last year, maybe a year and a half now. So they're very important to us as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, y'all, please on the board now. You
That's me.
have a vacancy?
We do have a vacancy.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yep.
So
We'll address it next week.
all right.
So I'll be seeing you at the meeting.
You'll be seeing me.
Make sure you keep an eye on him.
All right. Is that it?
All right. That's it.
All right, you guys have a good day.
All right.
Thank you.
Just as a point of reference, when you mentioned the building, it came to our attention as part of the budget presentation back in February, March, that the kitchens never had
AC.
AC. So we did put mini splits in the kitchen. That has been done. They had also indicated that, as you know, the offices is in the bottom, I call the basement of the building. that the flooring in the basement had seen better days. So Jack worked to get proposals for the replacement of that flooring, and that's being installed next week.
Good.
Apartment Gallery out of Hagerstown was the proposal. They're gonna come in, they're gonna be moving all the furniture, tearing up the old stuff, putting the new stuff down, putting the furniture back, so.
Good.
Is there a moisture problem with that floor?
Well, there was, but it's been taken care of through some of the outside work that we had done.
One of the injection pumps has failed a couple of times.
So, the only thing that really needs to be done to that whole complex is, we'd like to upgrade some of the outdoor lighting, replace some of the old heads with LEDs. But other than that, this council has been very,
It's been a while since I've been up on the porch, but the last time I was on the porch, and I say a while, probably a year, there was a light that was still missing or something that they couldn't find parts or something for, so I don't know if that was ever.
I don't know.
But yeah, that building's in really good shape, and they got a real nice facility there.
Now's the time for them to buy it for $1.
I think they're starting in the hallways. They're putting LVP down in the hallways, and the day they're starting in the hallways is actually a day that senior services closed. So yeah, that worked out really well.
I think they start next Monday, which is
Yeah.
West Virginia Day.
Yeah, right.
So,
Well, we're talking about that. Eddie and I went over and looked at the issue down at the first floor judicial center to bring everybody up on speed on that. And historically, it's had issues on a very hard rain getting into the prosecutor's office and probation, right? Jack turned back around and went over on a really hard rain and pulled the cover off the check valve inside the building, which was a huge gamble. And I told him if it was me, I wouldn't have done that. But
he had all the guys standing by with mops.
you would never stop the little mop. But
I
anyway,
wouldn't have got the lid back.
you wouldn't have got the lid back on. So you turn back around, it was flowing good in the building. But when you went out to the storm structure where that pipe goes into, the city's pipe, I believe it would be the city's stormwater pipe, was full and coming up above our pipe going into that storm structure. So what I'm thinking is when that water gets up over that 10-inch pipe, I believe, what it's doing, it's closing the check valve and not letting and have more pressure than what the water coming out of the building. So then it's coming up maybe on a bad joint or somewhere. The city of Martinsburg getting ready to do a stormwater improvement for Raleigh Street area. The only thing that we may want to do is get Jack over there and drill a hole through the grout lines, because that floor, I don't know if you've seen it, but you go over, it's probably got a 2.5-inch crown in it right now. And I can't imagine concrete being that bad poured, you know what I mean? So I don't know if somehow it's lifted that floor, which is all tile floor, ceramic tile, but gotta find out
Concrete. They would have had to lift the concrete.
something, but there's a heck of a big crown there.
Pressure behind it.
So, but, I know, Alan let the city of Martinsburg know we had that going on, and, we may want to check that, because that really could be fixed or should be fixed. That floor, the big crown like that. It's very noticeable, but just something.
It might be real shaky, drill a hole down through it too. 'Cause
Yeah.
if there's a good bit
Well,
of
I was
pressure.
just thinking about the grout line itself, but I can't imagine, I'm like you, I can't imagine it being just the tile floor. It'd have to almost be the concrete itself. But the only other thing I was thinking, Dan, was
But the tile's not cracked,
the grout lines are cracked.
are they?
Yeah. Yeah, there actually some of the grout lines are missing already. So Jack might want some guidance on that one, but, so I thought the only way we could assure our stuff would be to put a pump in and push it, pressurize it out.
Yeah, pressurize it. Get it. Yeah.
All right,
Get it higher than the pressure on the other side.
exactly. Tim, you have everybody here yet? Okay, all right. All right, let's move on. Then we have Tim Zia, Community Corrections Director, Michelle Walls, Executive Director, Rosedale Cemetery, Recovery Walk Financial Donation.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good. If you all remember, a while back, Rosedale Cemetery Funeral Home hosted a recovery walk there. They unfortunately had the chore of providing services to families who have lost a loved one because of an overdose. They see it happen over and over again. They came up with this idea to hold a walk to just recognize those families and raise awareness, and turned out to be a great event. And they matched the funds that were raised in that event. They donated it to us. You all actually contributed some funds. We use those funds, and we
just make sure, since we're being on record, we individual people
Yes, sir.
donated funds, not the county
you all
council.
as individuals did that.
Right.
On your own free will, yes. We hosted a fall fun fest last October, and it was a great success. There were roughly 300 people, just under 300 people that attended. We used those funds to provide food. We had hot dogs. Travis Bishop and Mountaineer Meat Smokers set up their trailer there and cooked food. And we had the Kona ice truck come. We had a couple of bouncy houses for the kids. Butler's Farm Market donated a bunch of small pumpkins, almost 100 small pumpkins. So we had pumpkins set up for the kids to paint. We had a cornhole tournament. We had a variety of people share their testimonials. People who were in recovery share their testimonials. We ended up getting donations from businesses in the area, and we did giveaways throughout the day. We gave away gift certificates and baskets and a big screen TV. One of the highlights of the event was that Crystal Peterson, who is our recovery coach coordinator for PRC, that's Crystal there. She she overdosed some years. How long ago was it, Crystal? She overdosed, and the EMS worker that actually administered the Narcan to her to save her life, Crystal had never met her before. Well, this young lady was in attendance, and we met for the first time. His family was there, and it was very beautiful. So we had just had a wonderful event. Well, Michelle and her staff wanted to do another walk. They held this walk April 30th this past year. It was another good turnout, and they are here again to donate some funds to us again. So, Michelle, if you would come on up and you can say a few things.
And if you'll remember, at the direction of the council, last year we set up a special revenue account that was separate from the general fund, that doesn't roll over, that rolls over every year, it never becomes part of the unencumbered fund balance. And that's used at the discretion of the of recovery resources that they report center for activities such as this. So there's no commingling of taxpayers' funds. This is all private.
Hi.
Hi, once again.
So, something that Tim mentioned was the use of the funds being used for this family event, this fall event that they had. And how I see that is the families are who's really impacted too. And I think sometimes we forget that. We look at the person who is struggling with addiction, who's really battling that, but I think we forget that their family is right there with them. And as working at a funeral home and a cemetery, we see that firsthand. We watch that because unfortunately by the time that me and my team become involved, it's too late for that individual. But what we're working with is the family, and what we see is just absolute devastation. To sit with parents, everyone says no parent should ever bury a child, and we believe that, but we see that. We see that when it comes from addiction, because we're working with a mom and a dad, and their lives have just been in chaos and torn upside down because of what addiction has done with the family. And so we see that firsthand, and that's why our hearts are near and dear to this. We see really how it impacts parents. We see how an addiction can impact children. It's absolutely terrible for me to take an 8 or a 9-year-old up to the front of the room and show them their mom in casket. But they're faced with that because of addiction. One of the things that, just an observation for me, when I work with a family whose loved one passed of addiction, they start to just sort of spill out their heart to us, and I think at that point we're just a listening ear. And by observation, what we hear is this individual, they weren't happy with that lifestyle. This wasn't what they wanted. They were trying to do better. They were trying to overcome that. And usually just sort of what we hear is, they'd been clean for 3 or 4 months, and then something bad happened, and then they resorted back to that, and the result was they passed away. And so we see that these individuals, they really do want help. They really do want to change. They really do want to get better from this. And that's why we're so dedicated to being involved and helping with this situation. So that's kind of how we see it, working in a funeral home and really working with the families and seeing it firsthand. So that's kind of where the idea sparked for us to come up with something to do to raise funds to just assist in Berkeley County. As a business manager, I get phone calls all the time of people wanting us to donate or something, be a part of something. But what's so special about this project is it's right here in Berkeley County. Everything that we do is right here. It's impacting individuals here. So that's why this is really near and dear to our heart, this event that we do.
That means a lot, be able to help out, especially at your level. You're basically saying we're not ready for you, right? So, well, good.
I had very little to do with the arrangement of this event. Crystal and Katie and Michelle and her staff are the ones that put together this event, coordinated and planned for it, and just want to recognize them as well. We're going to hold another event this year. I've got War Memorial Park reserved for Saturday, October 8th. And we intend on doing a very similar event that we did last year. So that's what these funds are going to be used for once again. We're very thankful, Michelle. Thankful for it.
We are so much. And then you had to walk on April. You said in April.
April 30th.
How much more? Huh?
April the 30th.
How much did you raise?
What did we raise? I know in total with our match we're at 2,800.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you. Anybody up? Jim or Dan?
I mean, it's great what you guys are doing. It's great to see. It's great to see the community support what they're doing because they work very hard at saving lives here in Berkeley County and help people get over the monster that they're dealing with, and it's great that somebody in the community is helping to support them. Really appreciate it.
You'll have a check to present.
We have to-
Would you like to introduce your staff?
So Shannon Spears, she did the check for us. She is our administrator, office manager, really my right-hand woman at Rosedale. And
We'll take a break for pictures and everything here.
Sarah's one of our pre-planning counselors at Rosedale,
Hi.
and Hannah is the pre-planning manager at Rosedale.
Well, great. Well, thank y'all for everything that you're doing and do, because it does mean so much. We've got a great team in our recovery resource center, and 11 years ago there was nothing, and we put a lot of effort into it, and we realize the same thing. We're not ready for people to pass when they're too young. And so again, it means a lot to us as well. And I know, Dan, you just got done saying, and I'm sure somebody else wants to say something too on what y'all do.
Oh, gosh.
No, I'm looking at you or Eddie, because I know Eddie will say something.
I will, and I'm very grateful for the partnership that you've been able to develop with our team. And you allow this organization to do things that we can't do, but with your generosity, they're able to do. And I'd be remiss if I'd say this is not a one-time thing and done, because you're a very community-minded person. I recently was able to participate in your Memorial Day car show, where you had the scouts out there, paying respect to the veterans that are in your grave site. So thank you for that. And Sarah, it's good to see you. If you don't know, Sarah is a former dispatcher for us. So always a welcome sight, and thank you.
All right. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but last year we did throw some money at it. Do we want to do that again this year? That's up to y'all. We'll see what we can do and try to help out as well as individuals. All right. Let's take a break and we'll present this. We want to thank you all again, and we'll have you all for the photos. Anybody want to say anything at all?
I just want to echo what Tim said and just say thank you guys so much. This was my first time working with you guys, so I appreciate all you guys did this event, and we are really excited about our second recovery festival. So we appreciate you guys making that happen.
I would like to second what Katie said, and as someone in recovery, my family would have just been mourning the anniversary of my death 4 years ago, and praise God, I'm about to celebrate 4 years of recovery from alcohol and drugs, and it's an honor working for this county and doing the work that we do, and it's been a pleasure, and it's very humbling being a native of Berkeley County, born in Martinsburg. To partner with you guys and to have your support for something that's so near and dear to my heart. So thank you.
Well, we're glad you're celebrating 4 years. Right? All right, let's take a break and take photos. All right, we're back in session. Next on our agenda is Tracy Gillum's grant administrator and she's here for West Virginia Court Security Grant. Good morning.
Good morning. Let's start with the court security grant. It is $31,978.20. There is no match required. We had a required court security fund grant meeting that was held on Tuesday, May 24th, with Mike Lang, Berkeley County Chief Court Marshal, Jack Lang, Berkeley County Facilities Director, Dominic Orsini, Executive Assistant Office Administrator from the Berkeley County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, Alyssa Sloan, the 23rd Judicial Circuit Court Clerk, William Norris, Chief Magistrate, myself, and Elizabeth. The needs of the Judicial Center in regards to security for the building were discussed. The grant will pay for the following items if awarded: 5 security cameras, or it says 2 blind spots, for 2 blind spots, and then an outside camera and 2 additional blind spots for $14,250. 21 stream light Balcon emergency lighting for the courtroom. This is a non-fire marshal required emergency lighting. So it's if the lights go out, they can continue business.
And this really came to the forefront. If you remember, within the past year, we had the transmitter that blew. And the courts were, I mean, the emergency generator kicked on, but it was not enough to power these lights.
Right.
So some of the circuit judges actually held court with flashlights.
Yeah.
So this is these would be physically in the courtrooms.
Okay.
And that would equal $4,729.20. And 1 key watcher touch security key system for a maximum of 48 keys. And that's for not key cards, but actual keys that are still used for some doors in the building. And that would be $12,999.
Okay.
And if the council will recall, this is an annual grant that we're eligible for. It's all part of the court security fund. We always get a little bit, but
Some years we've gotten more.
yeah,
It has.
there's kind of no rhyme or reason to how they allocate money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'll get something, but
Isn't this
Tracy's
one?
really, really good, but I'm not sure she'll get us all.
Isn't this part? Isn't this part of the new legislation that we took part in? There was a bill out there trying to help
It
them to
is.
keep some of their funding and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Okay. Well, Tracy, I believe in you, so don't pay
Thank
attention to
you.
what he says. So we need a motion to adopt for the grant application. Is that right?
There's a resolution that you should have.
Okay.
Yeah, the resolution is actually,
All right, we need to-
right after her reading.
We need to adopt the resolution.
And give the council president the authorization to sign it.
Says all of us, I think. We're all signed.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. We have a
Second.
second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. The next one is a Bja De-Escalation Grant, and that's what we talked about last week. Is that right?
Now, that was stop school violence.
Okay.
This is different. This is for de-escalation training only. It will pay for a realistic de-escalation instructor, instructors who will come in to the county for a 2-day course to get all 67 officers at $25,125. We also included overtime. It was an allowable expense.
I was just getting ready to say, let's make a note on this.
It's on the note board for us to look for and include. It is overtime for 67 law enforcement officers for a maximum of 16 hours overtime in total for 1,072 at an average rate of $50. We took the highest paid field officer, took what he makes in overtime and just kind of used that as a guide so that there's some room. And that would be a total of $53,954.
So it's only for the field officers?
No, it's for all 67. We just took
That was in the middle of
we
the
took
bracket.
we took that individual's what they make in overtime, and we used that as a guide to give us an average. Some people make a couple dollars more in overtime. Some people make a couple dollars less. So that was just an average.
Yeah, we've done that math last Thursday morning.
It will also pay for an Apex Officer Training Simulator. This is different than the simulator that I talked about last week. This one is the virtual reality headset type thing. That is $133,368. It includes the head mount, the universal device, pistol, and taser that goes with it, the Apex Officer Content Library, the workstation, and over 100,000 dynamic scenarios. And it will keep track per officer, their skill set, and you can get a report on each officer.
Does anybody know whether they use the simulator they have in the room, in the office now?
Well, remember when we did 510, we put the FATS room in, which is the firearms training simulator. I think that technology is pretty much outdated. And it's my understanding, particularly the simulator that Tracy came before you last week, which is kind of the active shooter simulator, that room will be used.
I was going to say, yeah. All right.
I guess the sheriff's on board with this.
Yes, all this stuff, we ask them, this is what is allowable, and they will, whomever is in charge of whatever department or equipment, will send us, and April usually goes back and forth with them to build the budget. The 24 40 millimeter launcher and projectiles, that is the rubber bullets, the rubber things for de-escalation, and that's the
non-lethal, they call
yeah,
it.
not non, yeah.
All right.
Ouch.
Yeah, they were supposed to have been tested on Whitaker, but
They missed.
all right. Okay, so we need to, looks like we need a motion to approve the grant application with a zero match
Zero match.
up to, the request is $250,000.
Move to approve. The Agency De-Escalation Grant Community Policing Department solicitation.
Second. Have a motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, the motion carries. And now you have the MOU with the Board of Education for the BJA Stop School Violence Grant. Was that the one last week, right?
Yeah, that's the one from last week. The grant will pay for 2 school social workers for 3 years. We've been working with Margaret from the Martinsburg Initiative, and she is getting the signature from the superintendent on this tomorrow.
And we've been following up with you and keeping on the emails and saying, it seems like on this one, the city of Martinsburg is on board and got all that stuff worked out. So, all right, need a motion on the MOU for the Board of Education for the BJA Stop School Violence Grant.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion
And also to give the president the authority to sign.
Okay, motion been made. Do we got a second? No discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries.
Just as a reminder, and it came up last week during a discussion that we were having about budgets, even though there's zero match, many of these grants require that we pay up front.
Yes, it's an after payment on that.
And so we upfront the money, and then Tracy and her staff do a really good job, and then we get reimbursed. But it's not, when you're dealing with the federal government, it's not an immediate reimbursement. Sometimes it takes months.
Or sometimes it could go into the following year.
Right. So we're very, very fortunate that we have the resources that we can upfront fund this. But I just wanted to make sure that everyone understands that sometimes it takes a while for us to get that money back into the fund. So it came up last week, and just wanted to put that on record.
And Tracy, I thank you and your team for your work. You've gotten us ahead of this curve, I feel, for this very critical training opportunity. So it's not like, reading the paper last week and saw the tragedy, and then now all of a sudden everybody's going to try to start doing all this work that you all have already done. I mean, you all have placed us to the front of the line, I feel. So thank you.
Yeah, and that's the thing about, like Mr. Davis said, we got to forward fund these, and then once it's forward funded, and then when the grant comes back in, that comes back into the county council's budget, because
And we need to
funded.
make sure it goes back into the fund that it's taken out of. So, and again, Penny and Tracy McCormick and Tracy Gilliams and her staff, they do a really good job of working together.
Mhm.
It's just that particularly departments, outside agencies, outside departments, that front fund this sometimes think it's going to be immediate repayment from the feds. When you're working with Department of Justice grants, it's not.
Right.
It's usually not that fast.
All right. I think we still need to vote, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. All right, thank you. Colleen, is everybody here that needs to be here?
I believe so.
Okay. All right, next on our agenda is Colleen Stevens, Deputy Fiduciary Supervisor, Estate Hearing for Dorothy M. Help me out on the name.
Good morning.
No, what's the name of Dorothy M. last name?
Dorothy M. Short.
Okay.
So today I'm presenting a petition to probate the will of Dorothy M. Short in solemn form. On April 12th, 2022, Arlene Short Hardy, who's their daughter and named executrix in a copy of the will, presented the petition attached to your read ahead to probate the copy rather than the original. The will is dated May 4th, 2016, and it meets all other legal requirements pursuant to West Virginia Code. But again, as stated, it is not the original. An original last will and testament is required by law. However, should this council deem it appropriate on a case-by-case basis, the copy may be submitted for West Virginia probate. On April 22nd of this year, our office mailed legal notices of the petition along with copies of the will to all interested parties of the estate. And to date, we've received no objections, written or otherwise. Unless any interested parties are present today and wish to speak to the council, I respectfully ask your consideration in allowing a copy of Dorothy M. Short's will to be probated in Berkeley County.
All right. Anyone here to contest at all?
Petitioners here, but
Okay. All right. Entertain a motion to allow. Ms. Delegate, you have any trouble with this being taken up and approved?
No, sir, my understanding is that it is a copy, there's just no original, but it appears to be in the form and appropriate notice for the sent out, so I don't see the issues with that motion to petition itself.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the copy and to be allowed for probate.
So moved.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. All right, thanks. I am.
Put your glasses.
No, I just had to set back further.
You have to get your arms lengthened.
You got the
Thank
date.
you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Delegetti, for stopping over. Appreciate it. That should be it. All right, yep, thanks.
Not unless they decide to get rid of the alcohol.
I was gonna say, you probably won't have to call, she'll hear.
Yes, she will. As you drag me kicking and screaming out of the room.
We're gonna skip over our interview right now, and we're gonna go to Alan Davis, County Administrator, State Budget Revision Number 13, Fund 001, sir.
Well, I'm happy to report this is the last state budget revision for the fiscal year.
Yeah. The
It's-
sad thing is you gotta get started next year, right?
Yeah, well, we've already started next year. We've been busy at it this week trying to upload everything into Munis so that we have a balanced budget. In the general ledger is balanced come July 1st, which is not that far away, 3 weeks. The final state budget revision is due to the state auditor's office no later than January 15th, June 15th. And because this is your last meeting before then, you have state budget revision number 13 before you. This is typically one of our larger state budget revisions, and we use it to recognize, if needed, some revenue sources that have overperformed, so that we can then turn around and reallocate some of that revenue to those accounts that have spent the money through authorization with the council or that's allowed to do it, that the distribution is required by code. And a good example of that is the distribution of the hotel occupancy tax to Parks and Recreation and the CBB. We had set the hotel occupancy tax at $600,000 and as you know, that it has well performed, overperformed that. I put in there $300,000. We have not gotten the most recent collection notice for the current month. So there's one more distribution that will be made to Parks and Recreation and CBB. So I had to put enough money into those accounts so that when we do pay that out, it doesn't end up in a deficit balance. Everything else is pretty straightforward. There was a deposit of $60,000 made for a check that was received from the sheriff in agreement with the council. You'll also notice that we've received 3 nice checks from Gov Deals for surplus vehicles. As we dispose of the vehicles that the council has declared surplus, we've been auctioning them off over the internet, and to date we've collected over $80,000.
Is that right?
in funds from some of these surplus vehicles. So we did receive 3 checks from Gov Deals. Some minor checks for IT services. The amount is less than $2,000. Of course, we've had 2 auto claims through West Virginia Corp. You'll see that there's a check there for $36,875. We had a 2019 Dodge Durango that was wrecked and totaled. After the $1,000 deductible was kept from the claim, the net amount of the reimbursement for that was $36,875, which is almost as much as we paid for the vehicle back in 2019.
Excluding the outfit.
Well, we were able to take all the outfitting off of that,
Right.
and we were repurposing it. So that's just for the vehicle itself.
Mhm.
We just recently had another 2019 Dodge Durango that's been totaled, so we're going through the same process for that. And of course, there was $64,876 received from the state of West Virginia for the HHR drug testing. So you'll see that most of the distributions are pretty routine. It's just correcting some deficit balances, things that we could probably do through internal budget revision, but is easier to do through state budget revision. We are putting $280,000 in the Sheriff's Department's budget. Day Report Center, we're recommending that you put $50,000 in contracted services. Again, that's all drug testing expenses. Drug testing continues to be strong. The Day Report Center is doing anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 drug tests a month. Salaries, putting some salaries in recovery resources for the quick response team. That's all 100% reimbursement from the state. Again, putting some money into your contingency account. The council also authorized some supplemental funding for solid waste several months ago, as well as Parks and Recreation. The Parks and Recreation funding has to do with your contribution to the playground equipment, to finish the playground equipment at Poorhouse Farm, as well as the commitment that we had made to, along with the city of Martinsburg, for the strategic plan for Parks and Recreation. Again, I just allowed those accounts to go into a deficit balance, knowing that I'd be coming in today to make everything balance out. The final biggest distribution is $250,000 into the capital building accounts. You'll see on today's purchase order log, there was a payment of slightly more than $300,000 to Bolin. That is to pay for some of the equipment for the lighting upgrades, the LED lighting upgrades to some of your older buildings that you authorized some time ago. So it's a pretty straightforward, and again, it's just cleaning up the fiscal year 21-22 budget.
All right, so the infusion to 700 is
280,000.
280, and that's all county council, or
220 from the council and $60,000 from the concealed weapons fund.
Okay,
And
and
we
so
did receive that check. You'll see it at the very top of your spreadsheet. Check number 1160 from the concealed weapons fund.
okay,
So yes, sir, we did receive that. And that's what you agreed upon last.
yeah. I'm just trying to get it. So it'd be 60 and 220 from contingency.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. All right. Anybody have any further questions for Mr. Davis on the state budget revision? If not, entertain a motion for the state budget revision number 13, Fund 001. Have a motion on the floor to second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? The motion carries. You have a recommendation for the Health Department construction bids.
Yes, sir. Just as a side note to this, next week we will be bringing in your final audited financial statements for 2021. Just a real brief discussion on that. Soon thereafter, I'll give you your final numbers for the current fiscal year. But it appears that financially you've had another strong year. The economy continues to be good to us through property transfers, engineering fees, planning fees, and things like that that are really tied to economic development. The next matter for your consideration is the bids for 122 Waverly Court. As you'll recall, last week we were due to open the bids for the alteration and addition to the health department, which is located at 122 Waverly Court. However, late Wednesday afternoon, we did receive some information that part of the bidding process was not followed as a condition of the West Virginia Community Development Block Grant, which is a subsidiary or which uses funding from HUD. More specifically, we were to have sent the RFP to the HUD for their review and comments and approval prior to going on the street. So we had received 4 bids prior to the bid opening. We did not open any of those bids. The bids were from Cowles Contractors, Hagerstown, W. Harley Miller of Martinsburg, McGinney's General Contractors of Martinsburg, and Caliber Contracting of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. After some discussion, it was my recommendation to the council that we really had 2 choices. Either we could walk away from $608,000 of community development block grant money, or we could reject the bids, go back through the bidding process. There's no expiration on the community development block grant, so we have time to do it. Time is not of the essence for the addition to that building. So after some discussion with you in talking to Region 9 and our grant writers, in accordance with the conditions outlined in the request for proposal, I'm recommending that the council reject all bids listed above because moving forward would not be in the best interest of Berkeley County and could result in a significant loss of funding. The bids weren't open. There's no public disclosure of the bid amount. We would just be putting the bid on hold until we can go through the proper administrative steps for HUD. It will delay the bid, anywhere from 4 to 6 months, but again, it doesn't seem like time is of the essence.
So don't take that long.
Probably, knowing how the federal government moves.
Well, it actually, other than the fuel prices, the fuel keeps going up, it will raise the prices, but the material, I think, is starting to stabilize. It might start coming down a little bit.
How much?
Yeah, depends on what happens, but we need a motion to approve and reject the bids for the health department construction only because of formality reasons.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion, sir.
The big packet's not gonna really change, but if you remember, we had to go through the reselection of an architect.
Yeah.
Only because we didn't have the little HUD, HUD logo on the original RFQ, and I suspect that this will be kind of the same thing.
I'll second it.
All right, motion been made by Mr. Gokenhour, seconded by Dan. Any other discussion?
Yeah, has the contractors been contacted to let them know?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
and they'll receive their packet back unopened with the cover letter,
Okay.
but they've all been notified telephonically.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Recommendation to retain a engineering firm for the park development. I guess this is South Berkeley.
Yeah, well, let's start with South Berkeley, and it's going to be a kind of a similar situation that we've done with retention of architects and engineering for the redevelopment of our buildings. So we'll start initially with South Berkeley with the 22 plus or minus acres in Inwood. And when we take possession, or as we get closer to taking possession of the additional property to the northwest of Courthouse Farm, they would be involved in that, as well as any other parks projects that we might have. So,
Okay.
at the direction of the council, I did put an RFQ on the street for architectural and engineering firms for parks development, particularly the Inwood Community Park. as part of that RFQ, we did provide them with kind of a sketch layout. We overlaid what the council thought you would like to see initially in that park, with the topo map of that, so they knew kind of where the entrance, where we had pegged the entrance to be, as well as where we hoped the multi-purpose field to be, and some of the walking trails and things like that. On Thursday, May the 12th, you did open responses to the request for qualifications. We had received 6 packets. HRG Inc. out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. They actually have a satellite office in Chambersburg. Alpha Architects out of Morgantown, who have a satellite office in Martinsburg. Fox and Associates out of Hagerstown, who has done some work for Parks and Recreation on the Spring Mills Community Park. S&S Engineers out of Charleston, West Virginia. The Thacher Group, again, out of Martinsburg. And Civil and Environmental Consultants out of Bridgeport, but who are opening an office here in Martinsburg. And we have actually worked with CEC. They had the contract for the development of the trail, the continuation of the trail off of Route 9. So they've actually been working with us on the Frog Hollow extension. The committee of Councilperson Galea, Councilperson Gokenair, and I met. We reviewed all 6 bids, all 6 proposals. It was our decision to bring in who we felt the top 3 firms were. HRG Inc., Fox and Associates, and Civil and Environmental Consultants. We interviewed all 3 of the firms telephonically on Thursday, June the 2nd. And as a result of that, those telephone interviews and some further discussion with CEC, it's our recommendation that we select Civil and Environmental Consultants for the award of this bid pending cost negotiations. Eddie and Danny, do you want to add anything? They've got a pretty impressive portfolio.
Yeah, all 3 of those firms, are obviously very capable of doing this. For me personally, the difference seemed to be almost like they maybe took on ownership of this. They were very in tune with it. They were very interested in the history of this property, and they're very excited to have that opportunity.
Pretty impressive field there at Shawnee Sports Complex, huh?
Yes, it is.
All turf infield. One of them got a turf outfield.
And we talked a little bit about our vision for the Inwood Park putting a small amphitheater in, and they said, oh yeah, they have something similar that we designed in such and such park. And Eddie brought up the need for maybe instead of a swimming pool, which we all know is, the liability and the cost for something like that is pretty high, but maybe put, what do you call it, splash pads. And they said, oh yeah, we just at a park such and such at 8 o'clock at night, one hot summer night, and splash pads were still busy. So they're very much attuned to kind of what local parks, what your vision of a local park will be.
Well,
They're very responsive too. I think, with what we have going on already on the Frog Hollow extension, I think it's, just an example of what those guys are, capable of doing too. Not that the other ones aren't, but
Right.
they've obviously shown that that they're eager, and not only that, but their time frame was better than what we were hearing from the others as well.
Yeah, and we impressed upon all 3 of the top candidates that time was of the essence. that a park in South Berkeley is long overdue. And now that we've acquired the property and the house that will allow us to put the entrance in that the council envisions, that we want to move forward quickly in the design and development of that property. And I think they're well aware of this council's expectations.
All right, entertain a motion to retain the CEC, I guess, firm for park development.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. And we're gonna go back to, let me get my ducks in a row here. Board and commission interview, Sean Wolford, candidate for 911 Advisory Board. Sean, how you doing?
How are you?
Good. Come on forward and tell us a little bit about yourself that we may not know. And most of all, why you want to serve on the advisory board.
Well, of course, I've been involved with 911 emergency services in general for over 20 years now. So it's pretty much been my career, my focus, and always enjoyed it. And been working with Jen ever since I came on board and helping them out where I can, and just being a part of what she's trying to do there, reinvigorating the 911 center. And so as they were rebuilding the advisory board and asked if I'd be interested in serving on it, certainly I jumped on that opportunity to be a part of it and hopefully be a help to her and what she's doing and the rest of the crew there.
Yeah. It's a very diverse board, that's for sure. You
Yep.
know, trying to improve upon and doing what we can to continue to move in the right direction. So, Mr. Barnhart, do you have any questions for Sean?
Not really, you sound eminently qualified.
About him.
Well, sounds good, you know. And so thank you for your willingness to help, because everybody needs help sometime like that. So that's all I gotta say.
Well,
Go Dan.
He's trying to open that door, isn't he?
Well, I'm going to share his thought process, and that it's much appreciated that you're willing to get involved and help out, and obviously sounds like you're already doing that, but taking it and that you're some definitely qualified, but to be able to continue that, I much appreciate it.
Mr. Whitaker.
Don't have any questions for you other than, it sounds like you're, like Jim said, you're very well qualified to partake in that board. So.
Mr. Gogar.
Yes, sir. It seemed like your past life, you were sitting in two different seats as emergency manager and the 911 director, as a lot of counties across the state of West Virginia do. So I'm sure you would be an asset to that 911 advisory board with the experience and knowledge that you bring. So I look forward to being able to work with you.
Is there a vacancy or? Yeah.
We're down one.
Sean, I really don't have any questions for you neither. I mean, you've been part of the team for a year now, and everything is a little over a year now, and it seems like I haven't heard anything bad about you, so that's a good thing. And so I can't remember that. Where did you move from to come here?
Greenbrier's where
Greenbrier County. Okay.
In Greenbrier, Fayette, and Nicholson, various counties.
Right.
My entire career.
All right, and I know, I guess I got a question for you is how you like it here,
We enjoy it. We're happy. We live on the north end of the Marlow area and really enjoy it.
Good.
You just barely made it into West Virginia.
I can see the river and everything from the house. We're tucked in right at the tip.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you, and I'm glad that you and your family's happy here. So, Mr. Gokenhour sits on that board, so there's a vacancy, so we'll go from there.
Well, I know, Mr. President, it's normally not customary, but because we do know Sean and they do have a vacancy, would it be appropriate to make that motion today?
I have no problem with that, Mr. Gokenhour.
Thank you, sir.
So we
I'll
have
make
a
that motion for you.
we have a motion on the floor. We have a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion about the motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. There you go.
Sir?
All right.
Before
Thank you.
John leaves, just wanna, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize him for the help he's given your planning department.
Right.
If the council will recall, we lost our planning director last November, and she was our only certified floodplain manager, although we're working on that now. Just by chance, we found out that Sean was actually a certified floodplain manager. And in the absence of Heather, he was quick to step up and help us with the review of the plans when necessary. And he continued to help him out. So
Just a day or so ago, they sent them across.
never even hesitated, and never affected the departments at all. He stepped right up, and it's worked out very well.
How long you been a floodplain manager?
In Greenbrier County, probably 25 years.
2012, I started initially, and then kind of was off for a few years. Ever since 2014, roughly. So
Yeah, you had a good bit of action down there.
it kept you busy, but there's a lot here along the river in various places. So just kind of different perspective, big rivers versus small streams and creeks. So
Yeah.
And one of them flood pretty good down there too. Pretty quick.
yeah,
All right. Well, thank you.
thank you all.
All right.
Jen just became an executive, for those of you who don't know.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Cute little girl.
So I shared your pictures with Alan, Tracy, and Joe. She's beautiful.
It's the funnest part of your life.
They say you should have your grandkids first.
Well, I seen a license plate on somebody's vehicle that said, "If I knew having grandkids was so much fun, I would have skipped having the kids."
I'll take them all.
Wait till you have great grandchildren.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
And I bet you'd be a great grandfather too. wouldn't you?
Well, actually, I'm not a grandfather. My wife is a great grandfather.
Yeah, I know. So, okay, all right, thank y'all. There is no reason for executive session, Mr. Davis?
No, sir, I'm happy to report you don't need executive
Well,
session.
thank you, Mr.
And for some reason, I thought we needed it today, but I can't think of it. But anyway, any items from the public? If there is none, Mr. Barnhart?
President, I would move that we recess this meeting.
All right, we are recessed, Mr. Barnhart. Thank you.